It is really easy to lose your sense of scale on the internet. You see channels and videos that throw up insane numbers. What do these numbers really mean? I'm like you, and I lose my sense of scale sometimes, but that is the point of this video. The channel has hit a milestone, 30,000 subscribers, and I wanted to take a pause from our normal programming to talk about the plans for the channel and this number. It's time for an update. If this is your first time here, this channel focuses on multiplayer sim gameplay. So if you're into that, please subscribe. Let's go in reverse order and go over this 30,000 subscriber number. Hitting this number was a bit surreal, and I wanted to ground myself in what it means. Firstly, thank you for all of you for tuning in and supporting the channel. The views, the comments, and the likes on the video are really the fuel that not only grow this channel, but actually sustain it. I really tried to be conscious of this and make sure not to say my channel, but rather the channel or our channel, because it really does feel like a tool for the community. More on this tool thought later. Secondly, what does 30,000 really mean? I thought it would be neat to compare this number to some real life examples so we can get a sense of scale of how the channel is doing. So I asked an AI, and these are some of the examples it came back with. The LA Galaxy Stadium has a capacity of 27,000 people. Political rallies in cities like Portland hit this number, and the Riverside Air Show in California typically draws around 30,000 attendees. So this gives a nice sense of scale of the size that the channel is starting to get to. Instead of just a handful of people or a few dozen or hundreds, we are well into the tens of thousands, and I find that to be very difficult to understand. That's a lot of people, and in a way, I have a bit of an imposter syndrome when thinking about it. But the subscriber count is, in my eyes, a validation of what the channel is doing, and I'm trying my best to balance my personal life along with the channel. Along with this, some of you have taken the extra step and have joined our Discord community, and that has grown to around 22,000 people, which is another eye-popping number. The Discord channel and the YouTube channel, in my eyes, is really the most important purpose of the channel. Being a sim gamer, especially a flight simmer, is a bit of a curse. There aren't that many games. The main ones are old and have a lot of baggage. I am extremely envious of people who are entertained by other types of games because they seem like they have an endless amount of content to chew through. So for us, we must create our own fun, and that requires numbers. This community was able to populate IL-2 bomber events where we would get together and do high altitude bomb runs. We were then able to seed and populate the Cold War server in DCS, and we used our size to repopulate a 20-year-old game, IL-2 1946, with some multiplayer sessions. While doing this, we have been able to use our size to help spread the word on some other games like Gates of Hell and Nuclear Option. In my eyes, this is what it's really about. It's about setting up a flywheel. We can throw a stadium's amount of people into a game and enjoy it because we can ensure it hits the critical mass so we can enjoy it with each other, which in turn attracts new people to the game, which then hopefully makes the game more successful and ideally allows for more development to happen in that game, which in turn brings it back to us, which gives us more content to enjoy. It is a cycle that feeds itself, and I really want to orientate the channel in a way where we lean into that. So with this said, let me try to talk about some things that I have to worry about. Firstly, one of the big lessons about the Cold War server is that numbers are just a given at this point. The channel has hit the size where we can take a niche of a niche, i.e. Cold War and DCS, and blow it up to be one of the biggest things in combat flight sim gaming. The constraint is my time. Obsessing about the server was something that I really regret and something that I want to avoid in the future. Because looking back on it, I feel like it has limited the growth of our community. It's awesome that the Cold War server was able to become one of the most successful servers in DCS, and to my knowledge, became the only server to ascend to more official status with the handover to Heapler. This is a nice feather in our cap, but it's also a giant lesson that getting bogged down has some major implications. The time suck associating with building is clear, and I don't need to get into that. The next one is that by building something in one game, it limited the channel to just one game, and I've always wanted this channel to be about simming in general, and not just about just one game. The last thing is also associating a server with a channel is a big watch out. As a channel has gotten more popular, the haters have started to develop. There's a concept that I find really interesting, which is called crabs in a bucket mentality. This metaphor comes from the claim about crab behavior when they are in a bucket. The crabs that are on top begin to try to climb out, And the ones that are lower pull the ones from above lower, and they trade spots. And the cycle repeats. They never escape their hell because of each other. As the channel has gotten more popular, I have seen this starting to come up. It's also been really interesting to me about this because the people who are the least productive in terms of building things are the most vocal. And that is the thing. Building things takes a lot of time. It's really easy for people who do not understand to just hate on things because they have unlimited time. Their purpose is to not be a builder, but to be a destroyer. Basically, it's a fool's errand to even bother dealing with it. Additionally, just by the nature of building something, it's natural to be protective of it, and that makes for friction with the haters. This is best highlighted post ECW handoff to Heapler. The server is being well managed to be a server that continues to be available for people to play at all hours of the day. It's not being obsessed over to try to remain to be the top server in DCS, and that's fine. This was met by glee for some people, which I found really perplexing because I don't run the server anymore. These people were awfully quiet the weeks before the server handoff happened, when the server was so full that we had to open up a second server. This sort of just explains that this is not a rational sort of discussion that can happen. It's just better to be avoided. So after a lot of head scratching, my conclusion on this is that crabs in a bucket mentality is real, and it's something for me to watch out for. There are just haters, and this comes with the territory of the channel's success. So my steps in the future will be more focused on being a microphone for servers and games and try not to be the face of them, as I do not want to get bogged down in trying to be protective of things. The channel should be a highlighter, not a shield. The overarching plan is I want to align the success of these games and the simming niche with the channel. If we can collectively have fun in these games, then the game will attract more players, and then the game will be more successful, which lead to us having more fun. The niche grows, so does the channel. If the niche contracts, so does the channel. We are latching onto it. My efforts are focused on vetting games that I can feature here with reviews, interviews, and gameplay features. We can all collectively judge games and decide if it is worth the time or not. We can host events on the Discord to play together. If volunteers are willing, we can build things too, but I will have to make sure I just act as the microphone and not act as the face of things because I just can't repeat ECW. The channel should not just limit itself to one game, but again to support the entire niche. The two big examples I see is IL2 Korea and especially Combat Pilot. These are two new games that are coming and they will need to hit critical mass to be able to continue past their initial launch. And I want to make sure that assuming these games are solid, that this channel is available to support those games. Along with that, we will continue in DCS, IL2 Great Battles, Nuclear Option, ghpc, BMS, and War Thunder. These are all games that we play, and I would like to continue to feature them. Lastly, when interesting modules come to DCS, like the F100 or the MiG-17 come to DCS, I would like to support them in order to make sure that the Cold War niche continues to get fleshed out. Along with that, I would like to make one quick note about paid sponsorships. I am lucky that I have a career, and this is not my main source of income. My salary, the generous Patreon donors, and the little ad revenue that comes from YouTube is enough to make me want to avoid doing paid sponsorships. To date, I have only done one. For War Thunder, and that one I was happy to do because I was going to do that video already. So I wanted to voice this over because to date, I have declined around a dozen or so paid sponsorship opportunities, and I do not feel the monetary need to go after them. If I come across one where I feel like it's something I already wanted to talk about, I may do it. For example, a VR headset maker approached me about making a video for them. I don't have VR, but I thought it may be interesting to do a first take on VR. I don't really have the time to do it this year, but I just bring this up as an example as one where I may bend the rule because it's something I actually want to do. I just wanted to say this because I wanted to make it clear that I'm not driven by money and you shouldn't expect to see any VPN ads on here. I know it's normal for YouTubers to do it, but I'd rather be the exception to the rule. I want to just genuinely support the niche that we all enjoy. 30,000 is a pretty big milestone. I would really like to reach 100,000 because at that point you get a stupid YouTube plaque, and I don't know why, but I think it would be nice to have something that I can touch that symbolizes the work that's happened. And I don't know why, but that's interesting to me. So I would like to work toward it. Again, I want to thank all of you for supporting the channel. The Patreon donors, the people who like videos, the people who comment, and everyone who watches. Additionally, I want to also thank you for supporting the sim niche. We are cursed to be enjoyers of these types of games, but there are enough of us that by grouping together, we can populate events, servers, and games so we can have enough fun to make it worth it. Let me know what your thoughts are since you have joined the channel and what your reaction is. I would be really curious to see what all of your thoughts are. Thank you.